What's up, y'all? We're going to kind of speed run through the uninstalling of the OEM or your current aftermarket exhaust. So you're going to take off that rear panel. You're going to lube up these hangers. If you've had it on for a while, I've had this specific centerline exhaust on for like 3.5 years. You're going to remove that front panel as well. All the panels underneath the car you're going to take off. This cross member brace, you're going to want to take that off as well. Once again, y'all, there's like 1 million exhaust install videos on the internet, so that's why I'm kind of speed running through this. But if you are doing this for the first time, feel free to pause the video and kind of do each thing step by step. This is just kind of how I did mine, going from an aftermarket exhaust to an aftermarket exhaust. Then you're going to want to do the downpipe bolts. This is just a catback installation video, not the downpipe. That's a whole different operation there. So there's 2 bolts there. You're going to want to you're going to probably have to wiggle that loose a little bit. A lot of carbon and soot keeps that together. You can reuse that gasket. Once you got that loose, you're going to need to take either a 10 or 12 mil and knock the first hanger loose as well. Comes out real easy, nothing crazy, and you'll see the exhaust start to hang down there. And once you get that last bolt out, yep, and she's starting to be free. For me, I had to take a Sawzall to stuff because these clamps were just so rusted over the time that I've had them, and some genius that installed my exhaust the first time decided to tack weld the clamps to the exhaust. So obviously that wasn't very helpful anyway. For timeliness sake, I just cut the shit off essentially. No big deal. Don't plan on using it again. Use one of those tools that I just showed. It's an exhaust hanger pusher outer. It will save you hours of agony. What's up, y'all? Okay, so now that we have the old exhaust out of the car, you can start to see a huge difference, right? Obviously, this old one, this centerline Competizione, this is the first run, the first gen of their exhaust. This thing cost me like $1,300 brand new, and it looks like crap. I'm just going to be straightforward with you. It looks like crap. It was a pain to take off. You guys saw how I had to uninstall this. Granted, yes, the exhaust is 3 years old. It's been through literally everything on 2 different continents. Rain, snow, ice, salt, gravel, sure. However, this just looks like rusted junkyard crap. I'm going to be honest with you. It just looks absolutely terrible. And it was a complete pain to take off. Now, whoever installed this exhaust way back when, they spot welded some of these clamps, which is why I had to go in and use my Sawzall to just, cut things apart and take them off. So that's not on centerline. But the exterior finish, I mean, for $1,300, you would think stainless steel would be a given, but they sent it with mild steel, and it was really the only 3-inch option at the time for these cars. So I'm glad that as time has gone on, more options have become available, and that's why we're offering the Club Alfa TROFEO ULTIMO exhaust, which is 3 inches and stainless steel. Now here's a huge detail that I never noticed because I never installed the centerline exhaust. I took it to a shop. Centerline claims that this is a 3-inch exhaust, but check this out. After the collector here, this is not 3 inches. That's 2.5 inches, y'all. If you don't believe me, look. That is not a 3-inch exhaust. That's 3-inch on the left, but on the right here, this is 2.5. So they claim that it's a 3-inch exhaust. It is not. However, if you look at the Trofeo Ultimo, that is 3-inch all the way back and out to the tips. That is a full 3-inch system. That's 3 inches, and all the way over there where it meets the downpipe is 3 inches. So with the Trofeo Ultimo, that is a truly 3-inch system. This is not. So I thought that was very interesting. It's kind of misleading that they say it's a 3-inch system and it's really not. Now I guess you could make the argument that, well, if you have 2.5 inches here, if you have 2.5 inches there, that's a total of 5 inches of exhaust flow out. You know, sure, cool. But you know, when you hear full 3-inch system, you're thinking 3 inches to 3 inches to 3 inches. That's what I think. So, is what it is. Anyway, at this point in time, we're gonna go ahead and we just laid everything out just to make sure that, you know, everything is everything. We're literally gonna reinstall it the opposite way, so just piece by piece by piece, and go ahead and put in this exhaust hanger that was up at the front. I'm just gonna go ahead and install that now, so that'll just make things easier. A couple of other pro tips, y'all. This is exhaust assembly paste. This is awesome to use because it essentially ensures that you don't have any exhaust leaks. So what you do is you take a bunch on your finger, and then you'll come in here and not on this side. You'll come in here, and right where that exhaust steps has a little lip in there, you'll apply it in there so that when you insert this piece, the paste seals around the end of this. So, and you do that for each section, therefore you have what is essentially an airtight seal. So very important, because over time with any exhaust that uses these slip joints, you're going to have some exhaust leaking. It's not a quality thing, it's just what happens over time, vibration and heat. You're going to have exhaust leaks. So using this ahead of time is a time saver, and it's really recommended. You don't have to use this, but I really recommend that you do, especially while you have everything apart. Okay, so before we go into actually installing this exhaust, we're going to go ahead and start hooking up some of the electronics for the switch valve operation. So let's go ahead and do that, and let's move on. Okay, y'all, so you're going to want to go ahead and remove everything from your trunk and remove this mat. If you didn't know, you can just pull this mat straight out of your trunk. Just so you know where that is, just come straight back, and there's a small body grommet right here. So you're going to go ahead and pull this grommet out, and that is where we're going to route our wiring to. This actually goes straight down and into the exhaust muffler cavity. Okay, y'all, so now we're at the wiring part of the Trofeo Ultimo exhaust install. So your exhaust comes with 3 wires. 2 of them look like this, with this black connector on one end and a white connector on the other end. The other cord is for the power source in the car. So what we're going to do is, now that we've popped out that body grommet, we're going to raise the car, we're going to snake this white end of the cord through the grommet into the trunk for both of the cords, and then we're going to continue with the installation. This is just so that we have just enough of the cord to hook up to the exhaust once we mount it, and then after the exhaust is fully mounted, we'll come back to the trunk and finish the install of the wiring. Alright, let's go. Alright, y'all, so when you've got the cords snaked through the hole there, just kind of hang the excess to the side, that way it doesn't fall out when you have to lower the car back down. Okay, now as y'all can see, I've got plenty of wire in here, and beneath the car I've got about I don't know, probably 2 feet worth of wire chilling right there. So that's what I mean, and we'll just leave it like that for now, so that we have plenty of room to play with when it comes time to hang the exhaust. So we're going to take a pause right there with the electronics, and now we will reinstall the exhaust. Alright, y'all, so here we are back again. We're essentially going to do everything that we did at the beginning in reverse. So you're going to go ahead and just mount this hanger onto the exhaust before you even mount it. That way you can screw it in real easy, and the exhaust should line up with your downpipe. Reseat that gasket, and then start inserting the exhaust, the downpipe bolts. It does come with new downpipe bolts. For those of you who want new ones, it comes with them. I reused mine. They're still good. Alright, so this is an example, a demonstration of how I use this exhaust assembly paste. Just put a bunch on your finger, and then spread a bunch around in there, and when you seat it together, it will create a seal. It actually uses heat to heat up and harden. So we're just going along here, once again, speed running. It's the exact same way we took it apart. Just, slip it all together. Keep everything loose, of course, until the end. Don't tighten as you go. Just put the clamps in place. If you're taking this to a professional mechanic, they know exactly what to do. And you might want to use a jack to support that middle section, since everything won't be tightened just yet. Alright. Okay, y'all, so when it comes to hanging the muffler, this was an absolute pain. But it fits just fine. It just needed 2 people, and that's why I couldn't video at the same time. But what you want to do is you want to get one side completely in, one side of the exhaust hangers here and here completely in, and then swing over and do the other side, and have someone push on the muffler this way while you pull on the exhaust hanger, exhaust bushing that way, and then they'll slide right in. Another good recommendation is put some soap on here. That made life 1,000 times easier. So I'm sorry that I didn't have a step-by-step of that, but the muffler is hung. So now let's continue. Put up the last piece, which is this connecting piece, and then the exhaust tip elbows. Let's go. All right, that's it. Thank you. All right, y'all, as you can see, it is completely hung up now. The entire exhaust is connected all the way back to the downpipe, all the way back. So now what we have to do is tighten all of the connections. We've got to put that crossbar back over here where it goes, and then we got to adjust the tips, and we'll be done. Then you're going to want to install the wires that were hanging, right? That's very simple. Just click them in. And then lastly, you're going to want to install the elbow joints. These are the ones that you can aim to suit your specific criteria. All right, we're almost done, everybody. We've got everything tightened up. Still have to pull these wires tight from the top, but we'll get to that. Everything is tightened up, all the clamps, exhaust is hung. Man, this thing looks phenomenal. We've got plenty of clearance. Can you guys see that? We've got plenty of clearance, 3-inch, y'all. This is what happens when you 3D scan an exhaust to make sure clearance is perfect. Plenty of clearance. Look at all that clearance between the cross member and the exhaust. And we still have a 1/2 inch of clearance up in here between the firewall and the exhaust. That is perfect. Look at that. Look at that. Perfect routing. Everything. All the way to the downpipe. That is beautiful fitment. Way better fitment than my center line. The center line hung way low. This is perfect. Now to get these exhaust tips right. We finally have everything set as far as the fitment. The tips are in. There was some major adjusting and cutting we had to do for the tips specifically, but that's because I have a custom setup. So if you're OEM, you won't have to do any of that. But because I have an aftermarket diffuser, I had to do some customization here. Huge shout out to my buddy Neil, who helped me tremendously. Thanks, Neil. Huge shout out to Neil. But other than that, this exhaust fits absolutely. It's fantastic. It's true 3-inch all the way down, stainless steel, and definitely fits like a glove. We routed the wire up, zip tied it out of the way at the top of the hanger up there, and then it goes into the body, and we'll get to that later. Alright y'all, so now we're at the final step of the wiring of the exhaust. As you see here, I've got both of the wires that go to each individual valve controller, and then I've got the power source wire, and all of these are going to feed into my control box here, which that is linked to the Bluetooth remote. So we have the wires coming through the body hole right there, and so what I did was I took the plug and I made an incision. I folded it one way, cut, I folded it another way, cut, and then I made an incision so that I can put the wires through here and be able to plug up that hole effectively. So let's go ahead and put that in, and I'll show you what the finished product looks like. Okay, so as you can see, the body plug is in there. It's not the most perfect solution. For those of you who are really concerned with plugging that up, do this and then take some electrical tape and wind it around there. You can take some duct tape and put it around there. Pretty much anything to make sure that water, road grime, debris, gases and stuff don't come through the body hole. But this will work just fine. But I do recommend at least taking some electrical tape and putting it around there, some duct tape. That's also going to stop these wires from, over time, and as you come in and out of the trunk and put stuff in here, it's going to stop these wires from going in and out. So as you can see, these wires are pretty stable because we have this plug. Without this plug, the wires would naturally sag or lift, and we don't want that. We want the wires to stay in place. So make sure you put this plug back, and if you want to be extra safe, just throw some duct tape around it. So that's what I'm going to do personally. I know duct tape doesn't look very pretty, however, this is all unseen. You got to remember that this thing goes over all of this, so you can put as much duct tape as you want here and make it as ugly as you want. Nobody's ever going to see it, to include yourself. Alright, so last but not least, what are we going to do with all this wiring? Well, of course, go ahead and plug these back into their respective inlets there, and then what you do with the wiring is really up to you. There's a lot of options. What I plan to do is I have some zip ties that I'm going to zip tie the excess off with. I'm going to zip tie it up, and I have this cool little neat compartment here. It's just Velcro that goes across here, and I'm just going to set this thing inside there. That's how I'm going to do it. The wires will be out of the way, but there's a lot of other options. You guys can zip tie these wires. You can get some double-sided Velcro tape and stick it up to here, stick it on the other side of the sub. Over here there's enough wire to where you could, if you really wanted to be inventive, you could cut a small hole in the back of this battery box, stuff everything inside there. So there's a lot of places to put this small controller and these wires in the trunk. It's really up to your imagination. This thing is really lightweight and durable, and it can really go anywhere. But since I have this little pocket here, and it kind of has a bunch of random things in there that are related to the car, I'm going to use that for this, and I'll zip tie these things up and out of the way. Alright y'all, so let's talk about how the power is routed to the exhaust system. So let's go ahead and pull this seat back so you guys can see this. Alright, here we have the trunk view. Excuse the mess y'all, but we've got the wire snake right through here, and then I have tucked it. I've tucked it right in there, tucked it down in there, and I've tucked it underneath here, and then it goes underneath this molded mat and into the glove box, which I'll show you in a second. Now you may be wondering if closing this seat is going to cause a short in the wire or anything like that, and I can tell you with confidence, no. These wires are super heavy duty, super thick. I've had this here for several weeks now since installing the exhaust, and as you can see, the wires still look brand new, so you don't have to worry about these wires being pinched or anything like that. And I tucked them in nice and snug, and as you can see, you can barely tell anything is in here. In fact, I've had several passengers sit back here many times, and there's, it's a very clean install here. And some of you guys that do this, as more and more people do this, I'm sure people will come up with even cleaner ways. If you really want it to be super sleek, you can remove this seat, just unbolt it, and probably snake it underneath the seat and underneath here. Alright, let's go, and I'll show you how it connects in the front. Alright, so our wire simply comes up from underneath the floor mat, really clean, and it snakes up right there. Alright, and it plugs in right here. And believe it or not, closing the center console does not pinch that wire at all. There's enough space, there's enough of a gap that it doesn't affect it at all. So it's a very clean install. I don't even notice that it's there. And if you notice, I'm inside the car and there's no power going to the system, which is good. You don't want parasitic loss from the battery. Only when I turn on the car, right now you see the light is active, and now I can activate the exhaust. There you go. Close, open. And the moment that I turn off the car, okay, turn everything off, the light goes dark. So we're good. This way the system is only powered when you need it to be. It's not draining power from the battery. And you guys see I have the remote mounted. Now the system comes with two remotes, right? One I keep in the house as a spare. The other I simply put some heavy duty Velcro, plastic Velcro, not the hook and loop, but like the heavier duty one. And I use this empty space up here to attach it, so it's kind of like a garage door opener setup, and it just lives right there. I don't ever do anything with it, I don't ever take it down. I guess if you were going to go somewhere and you had this car valeted, you probably want to take that with you so that people weren't messing with it trying to figure out what it is. But honestly, this is a really clean install in my opinion. You can take it off easily and you can put it on, put it back on easily, and you don't have to worry about where you're going to put this key. It's not another thing that you have to find space for in this already limited space car, so it fits nicely right there. I'm sure there's other places people will find to install it, but I prefer it right there. Alright y'all, and this is the finished product. You should have a perfectly fitting and operating exhaust system, the Trofeo Ultimo. Now, I totally recommend that if you're not comfortable, doing this on your own, please take it to a mechanic. They'll know exactly what to do. Show them this video. It's not hard. It installs just like every other aftermarket exhaust except for the wiring. So now let's listen to the sound. Club Alfa Trofeo Ultimo exhaust is unique in that it is the first 3-inch exhaust on the market to allow users to completely change the sound profile of their Giulia or Stelvio at the touch of a button. As you can see, the difference between valves open and valves closed is drastic. We wanted our customers to have their sound as they wish. To ask us a question or to spec your own Trofeo Ultimo exhaust, send us an email or message us on Facebook or Instagram at Club Alfa Performance. Alright y'all, so let's go ahead and talk about how to install the battery in your Club Alfa exhaust Bluetooth remote. Alright, so it's pretty simple. Some basic house tools will allow you to do this. First things first, you're going to need to go and pick yourself up a flat 2016 volt battery. So the first thing you want to do is take your remote, and at the bottom of the skinnier end, there are going to be 2 indents. You're going to want to take a flathead, a small flathead screwdriver. You're going to want to pop off. You're going to insert it right in there. Not a lot of force. It doesn't take a lot of force at all. It's going to pop off the cover just like that. Okay. Now, when you pop off the cover, you're going to expose the chipboard in here. There's the rubber button. That's the actual thing that you press. Okay. Set that to the side, and then you're going to be able to see the screws that you need to remove the chipboard. So I know this can seem a little off-putting, but don't worry. Just remove those screws, just like you would remove screws from anything else, from maybe like a child's toy. It's very similar to installing batteries in like a kid's toy. So once you remove those screws, looks like I got to screw some more in here. Okay, y'all, so once you remove those screws, the board can be removed. Just so you know, the board carrier and the frame can now come apart, but you don't need to do that. You can leave it exactly as is. So we can put that to the side. Flip the board over. Screws will probably fall out. And on the back side, you have the battery pocket. Okay, so now that we have the chip out, we're ready to install the battery. So once again, on the back side here is going to be the battery case, and this rubber strap you're going to pull out, and that's going to be the battery retainer. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take both of your 2016 volt batteries, and I found the easiest way is to stack them like this, with both positive sides facing up, and slide them in tandem underneath there into the case. This battery strap will fit snugly beneath, and then you simply push them in just like that, and they are seated. Now, a quick way to test that your batteries are good and they're properly installed is to press one of the buttons, and you will see the red LED light up. That's how you know that your batteries are installed and you're good to go. So what you're going to do at that point is you're going to reinstall the board the same way that you uninstalled it. So screw the screws back in there. All right. Screw that one back inside. Make sure those screws are snug. They do not need to be super tight, just snug in there. And then you're going to go ahead and install the rubber button and the case of the top case. And You can click everything back on there and you should hear it firmly seat into place, just like that. And then now you should have a fully functioning key. All right, you can hear that just like that. Have a fully functioning key. All right, and that is how you install batteries into your Club Alfa exhaust valve controller.